The phone rang just as I was about to pour myself another cup of coffee. Her name flashed across the screen, and I answered with a quiet, "Hello. I'm leaving you," she said, voice flat, almost rehearsed. "Don't ask me why, okay?" I replied. There was a pause, heavy with expectation. I imagined her rolling her eyes, waiting for some desperate plea, some frantic question that would prove I cared more than she did. I didn't give her that. Not today. Not ever again. I hung up and set the phone down, feeling the familiar tremor of anxiety, the old reflex that once made me rush, apologize, explain, chase. But today that reflex did not take hold. Instead, a calm resolve settled over me. I remembered all the nights she had stormed out, the mornings she had returned with excuses and tears, and the silent compromises I had made, thinking I could save the relationship through patience alone. That patience had cost me pieces of myself I wasn't willing to lose anymore. I started with her bags. Not in haste, not in anger, but deliberately. Each suitcase, each drawer, each little bag of belongings I had once ignored or quietly dismissed as trivial, I organized, labeled, and stacked near the door. The labels were simple: clothes, books, shoes. Even as I did it, I noticed the almost absurd care in my movements. The precision in folding shirts and lining up shoes. It was as if the act of organizing her things, of drawing a line between our lives, could somehow restore the quiet dignity I had been missing for years. I paused occasionally, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of cars outside, the faint tick of the wall clock. Silence was my ally now. I did not speak her name. I did not imagine her returning. I simply moved, one measured step after another, aware that the life I was reclaiming required no declaration. Hours later, when she stumbled through the door, the smell of alcohol clinging to her hair, her balance unsteady, I was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping the coffee that had long since gone cold. She fumbled with her keys, dropped her coat, and finally looked up. Her eyes went straight to the bags. Her mouth opened and closed. She started to speak, but nothing coherent came out. Her gaze flicked from the neat stacks to my calm face, and for the first time, uncertainty replaced her usual expectation of command. I, she began, voice trembling. I didn't interrupt. I didn't offer comfort. I didn't soften. The quiet authority in my stillness said everything I could not bear to say aloud. This is done. Tears welled in her eyes, and she sank onto the floor, wrapping her arms around her knees. She sobbed quietly at first, then more forcefully, the sound echoing against the walls. I sat still, letting the moment exist without commentary, without judgment, watching her cry. I felt an unexpected flicker of pity, but it was tempered by something else: clarity. I remembered every night I had let her anger dictate my actions. Every morning I had felt guilty for feelings I hadn't done anything to deserve. I remembered how she had manipulated my empathy, how her unpredictable moods had created an invisible prison in the home we shared. And now, in this quiet, unadorned moment, the power had shifted. Not through drama, not through shouting, not through grand gestures, but through presence, through restraint, through the simple act of honoring my boundaries. She tried to speak again, explanations spilling from her lips in a jumble of regret, confusion, and self-pity. I listened without acknowledgement, without the response she expected, and that was enough. The subtle shift was unmistakable. She could no longer rely on my habitual reactions to maintain control. She could not manipulate silence. Silence was now mine to wield. Eventually, she stopped speaking. The sobs slowed. She looked around, eyes catching the labels, the neat piles, the clear space I had carved for myself in what had once been shared chaos. For the first time, I think, she saw me not as someone to convince, to challenge, or to unsettle, but as someone who could act decisively, calmly, and without fear. I considered saying something, offering words to soothe or explain. But I realized that the lesson, the shift, the quiet reclamation of authority, did not need my voice. Words would only dilute it. I left the room for a moment, stepping into the hallway. From there, I could hear her moving slowly, gathering her wits, perhaps her pride, as she retreated to the bedroom. The space between us felt vast, not in distance but in understanding. I did not follow her. I did not call after her. I allowed the silence to hold its weight. Later, I walked through the apartment, taking in the corners where sunlight fell softly across the floor, where the stacks of labeled bags marked the boundary I had drawn. It was not triumph, it was not vengeance. It was simply clarity, the quiet confirmation that I could honor myself, even when someone I cared about attempted to erase me. I made another cup of coffee, this time with a steadier hand. The warmth filled my chest, a subtle reminder that I had survived. That I had acted with intention, that I had claimed space for myself in the only way that truly mattered. My reflection in the kitchen window caught my eye, and I saw a face not hardened, not cold, but resolved. I did not expect gratitude. I did not anticipate reconciliation. I did not even hope for understanding. All I knew was that I had preserved the fragile core of my dignity, and in doing so, I had demonstrated the quiet strength that can exist when one refuses to be manipulated by fear, guilt, or expectation. The apartment was still. The bags remained by the door, silent markers of consequence. I sipped my coffee. Outside, the world carried on, indifferent. Inside, I had drawn a line. And for the first time in a long time, that line was enough.